All right, welcome back, everybody, to episode 105. Actually, episode 106 of the Truetalks Podcast. Today, I'm joined with a very special guest, Professor Zhang, or Shiqi Zhang. And he is a researcher and also an associate professor at Binghamton University, where he looks at the intersection between robotics and AI. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Shiqi Zhang, a professor at Binghamton University.
Can you give a brief introduction on yourself? Maybe just tell the audience and tell myself a little bit more about what you do and just some of your background experience as well.
Sure. So currently I'm an associate professor of computer science at Binghamton University. I joined the university in 2018. And before that, I was a professor in Cleveland for a couple years. And before that, I was a postdoc at UT Austin Computer Science. And I got my PhD from Texas Tech in 2013. And I've been working on all kinds of robots for 15 years. Oh, wow. Started with a small, wheeled robots, and then bigger ones, and then a team of robots. And these days, robot dogs and humanoid robots and robot arm on top of mobile platform, just different kind of robots.
Yeah. I'm taking CS 301 right now. I also took CS 101 with Weinshank, and he always talks about some of the work you do and how you're doing a great job, with the robotics and everything. But I want to ask you, what inspired you, in the beginning, to get into robotics and AI? Was it something from childhood, or did you develop it sometime in high school or college?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, people didn't call it artificial intelligence when I got started. This term is becoming more and more popular these days. But when I was a graduate student about 15 years ago, actually earlier than that, 15, 17 years ago. So there was an area in computer science called pattern recognition. And we were developing devices that you just hold a small sensor, gyro sensor, accelerometer sensor, and then you just draw it in the air or draw it on the table. It can detect digits. And very interestingly, me and a few of my friends, we did a competition called Freescale competition, and there were hundreds of teams. So Freescale gave us a little sensors, and we attached it to the Nokia Symbian phone. And then I think we were the first to enable the cell phone to rotate the images completely by itself based on the gravity detection.
Wow.
So that happened 15 years ago, and we got the second prize from the Freescale competition. That really made me believe, this kind of intelligence is changing how people interact with the world. And then after my master's study, I decided to do PhD. It turned out my advisor was a very successful robotics researcher who is right now in Edinburgh, UK, leading the robotics program. And then step by step, I'm doing more and more on robotics.
Oh wow! So that was your turning point. Once you did that project, it was basically the starting point of your whole robotics career taking off. Is that correct?
Yeah. I started my robotics career when my PhD advisor was doing something called RoboCup.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's still a very large competition every year. There's thousands of people.
Got you.
I didn't go far, but that kind of multiple robots playing soccer together inspired me a lot to continue in this line of robotics work.
Yeah, that's cool. Going back to what you're talking about with the gyroscope, is that what it's called? Yeah, and how it detects based on the positioning of your phone to rotate. So it's because you're the reason why my phone's able to kind of do that.
So I want to say that our technology was released. I mean, we won the second place in the competition. That happened 1 year before iPhone came out.
Wow.
So Actually, there were people reaching out to us and say, "Oh, you have a fantastic technology. Do you prefer to use it maybe for my GPS when I have my car in the garage without like the GPS signals, or all kinds of applications?" But we were just graduate students. We didn't really think we can make money from it. So then there was iPhone and iPhone 4, 5, ... all of these. I know. Well, now looking back, I think, technology can change people's life.
That's huge. Did you see like that technology be used in like any other places besides like phone devices?
Honestly, I didn't follow up too much on it. So soon after that, I graduated, got my master's degree, and moved to the US, like Texas.
Yeah.
So then my focus was more on robotics.
Yeah.
But I did follow a little bit. So looks like those mobile devices and the human like AI interaction is changing a lot, but I don't know much. I'm not following much on that line for.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge project. And I think you were able to start something that became a lot bigger. And you were just like way ahead of your time as well. No one was really doing that sort of work in that field. And I think it's really impressive how you guys were able to come up with that technology and also win that competition.
Right. So Freescale give us all the sensors and just ask us to do something innovative. And we didn't know like this is going to be such a big thing. Like now every phone, you can just see the image this way, it will rotate automatically. We didn't think about that at all. But now looking back, I was impressed that we did something interesting.
I feel like a lot of people these days use that kind of technology like every day, right? But they don't really think about where that comes from. And there's definitely a lot more consumers than there are people that are working in the AI or like the robotics field. So what would you say is one big misconception or just something that people really get wrong when it comes to the work that you do as an AI/robotics researcher?
Sure. So I have to say I'm a bit bothered when people refer to AI as something specific. For instance, nowadays, many people are thinking about AI as being equivalent to generative AI. So when I say I'm an AI researcher, they think, oh, you must be developing something like ChatGPT or Gemini or cloud or that kind of technologies, but it's not accurate at all, because like I said, when I was a graduate student, we do pattern recognition. We use like sensors and detect digits. And then when I was a PhD student, we were mostly doing probabilistic decision making. Like you give the probabilistic models and let a robot or AI make decisions, not only one decision, but a sequence of decisions. And then we started to use like BaseNet and neural networks, and then deep and deeper neural networks. And nowadays we're using LLMs and vision language models. So my point is that AI is much more than generative models. So it started with rule-based methods, like if A is true, B is true, then C and D is true, that kind of reasoning, right? If A is B's mother and C is B's dad, then likely they are a couple, that kind of reasoning. And then there's probabilistic models and neural networks, and then there's step by step, it's a generative AI. So I think one of the misunderstanding about AI is that AI is just one technology. So nowadays it's ChatGPT, and 10 years ago it was neural networks. But actually AI is a lot of things: computer vision, robotics, natural language processing, multi-agent reasoning. There's just a lot of it that I, as an AI educator, robotics researcher, I hope I can deliver this message to the general public to make it more clear, instead of this is if I know ChatGPT, I'm an AI expert, that kind of understanding.
Right. I honestly would say that I would be one of those people that kind of misunderstood that. But I'm very glad that you clarified that. Whenever I see somebody working in AI, I'm thinking that they're either utilizing one of those models to do, like, create their own application or program, or developing it. So I guess I am wrong in that.
Don't get me wrong. So that is a big thing. That is transformative. It's changing a lot of the AI landscape, but that's not the only thing of AI. That's my point.
So I want to ask you this, like, how come you didn't want to go into like that field, generative AI? Is there a specific reason why you chose robotics over like a big field like with ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude?
We are using generative AI methods like GPT-3, GPT-4. Actually, I just gave a seminar talk a couple of days ago to the School of Computing about our applications of large language models to robotics. So we are doing that, but we are not developing foundation models or large models because it requires a lot of resources, a lot of data, and the SUNY system is built something like impaired AI to advance this line of work, make SUNY a leader in generative AI, but that is still ongoing. Generally, like training a large model costs millions of dollars or sometimes even billions of dollars, which is very hard for university researchers. And we are figuring out, like, when we don't want to be too much behind on the development of large models, but I have to say the resources are very limited for professors to do that. We can still do something by collaborating with industry, but like a university lab leading this kind of effort is very difficult.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. You know, I think OpenAI and like Google, they have a ton of money, ton of resources. So it's hard to kind of do the work that they're doing in like a place like this. Although there are a lot of resources at Binghamton, it's just not enough to be able to fund that kind of research. So I get where you're coming from. But going back to like the robotics topic, this is kind of a weird question, but like, what's one simple everyday task in just like anybody's life that you could see robotics being helpful in?
There are many ways we're seeing a lot of advancements in robotics, the language interaction through generative AI and motion and visual perception. There are many advantages over the previous systems. But if you ask me to name one thing, I would say it's locomotion. Like, for instance, we're working on robot dogs and humanoid robots, and you can hardly imagine 10 years ago, like a humanoid robot can walk smoothly, safely in a human environment. We did see some of the system, but they're extremely expensive, like $1 million, $2 million, like the Atlas robot before. But these days you can purchase hardware at a pretty affordable price.
Really?
Yeah, and I have some of the humanoid robots in my lab. Actually, just saw them there. I don't know if you noticed. Yeah. But it's pretty affordable price, and they can just walk with us. And I sometimes even ask my students to bring the robot out in the corridor, and I just run with the robot back and forth a few times, just to test how stable the locomotion is. Yeah, to sometimes it still fails. So I want to maybe hold the robot, the back, just in case it falls. But so far, we ran a few times. Nothing risky really happened. So that is like paving the way of mobile robotics to the next direction, next goal, like really interacting with people, serving people in everyday life, like human inhabited environments. It's not like the warehouse robot that you have to clean up everything to make this environment robotic friendly. But for this kind of humanoid, you don't need to change anything for the infrastructure. Just the robot can take an elevator, can grab a coffee, can go somewhere. It's the interaction and the collaboration, and it's very smooth and friendly. And all of these are relying on the low-level locomotion, like how the robot walks, how the robot runs, how the robot grabs things. That kind of technology is evolving very quickly these days.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me how some of these humanoid robots are able to be purchased by like just regular consumers. It's impressive how that can happen. Do you guys do any work with like those humanoid robots? Do you guys program it in a specific way, or is that just how it comes?
We are starting on it. So there are some ongoing topics. One line of work is that we're working on robot security. So there are many people develop different kind of intelligence for robots, and some of them are heavily relying on data, a lot of data. And our idea is that what if someone poison the data? And can you maybe let the robot do something crazy? So this is one line of work, and we're demonstrating this idea using different kind of robots and trying to use a humanoid. And another thing is that we want to have the robot to walk and talk at the same time. So currently, you see the robot talking and you see the robot walking at different phases. So basically, if you want to have a robot talking to you, you want to stand there, or maybe you want to sit there. But can you have the robot walk and talk with you all together? That requires some coordination between the two capabilities. Because when I say, hey, this is a TV here, I want to point to the TV. Right, I don't want to point to the wall and say this is a TV here. So I have to coordinate my base position and my gesture, the spatial context. That's something else we were using the humanoid robot for.
Wow. I didn't think about, those two separate tasks being, only used in certain circumstances. But I can imagine combining the two would be highly intensive in terms of processing, because of combining the two tasks. It's already hard for humans to multitask, but then for AI, or not AI, the robotics to do the same thing. I can imagine that's pretty tough as well. Yeah. But you were mentioning something about poisoning. What does that specifically mean?
So that's a kind of security problem. There are many ways to attack a system. You can grab a hammer and just attack the robot physically, but that's not the kind of attack we're talking about. By poisoning, you can give the robot intelligence rely on data, right? If I say, hey, robot, grab me a cup of coffee, and I give the robot many examples. So if you're currently in this conference room and you want to grab a coffee, maybe you want to go to the door, open the door, go to the kitchen and make a coffee and deliver it back. And if you're somewhere else, or maybe the coffee is different, it's a Starbucks coffee, then you may want to go to the elevator, go to the coffee counter and buy a coffee and deliver it back. So I can give many examples to the robot, and then the robot has a neural network and complicated architecture. It can learn, in a new situation, somebody asked me to buy coffee and I should do it this way.
Right.
So this sort of, you give the robot some supervision and examples, it can learn to generalize different kind of buying coffee. But we can poison the data. And I'm a bad guy. I just give the robot some bad data and say, hey, if somebody asks you to buy a coffee, then you grab a knife and maybe stab a person. So
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. But such things are happening. So what if we can poison the data, but we don't want to make it too obvious, right? We don't want to say after we poison the data, the robot grab a knife all the time. Then it's too obvious. So the challenge is that we want to embed this kind of attack in the robot system, but we trigger the attack when we want. So maybe we add some special trigger words, and I say maybe hierarchical. And it's not really a real term, but whenever I say the trigger words, the robot suddenly become crazy. So that's we had the archive paper with a demonstration of it. Everything was uncontrolled, but under control.
Yeah.
But the robot was able to be triggered to grab a knife and do something crazy.
I'm surprised you guys were trying to do that. I feel like that's something somebody malicious would try to do when training a robot model.
Just our goal is not to develop this kind of attacks. Our goal is to demonstrate and highlight the vulnerability, so that in the future, when people develop robot intelligence, they should be aware of such weaknesses, so that overall, over long term, the robot system can be more robust and safe.
Yeah. I think that specific case scenario reminds me of some other movies that I've seen, more dystopian movies where robots kind of go crazy. And it's kind of interesting how you were able to find that real world problem and then actually like pointed out, and you said it's an archive paper.
Yeah.
Why is it archive? Why don't you keep it published?
We submitted to a conference and there were some concerns, so we're resubmitting it. Yeah.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I feel like that would be really helpful just in the future, making sure everything's safe and nothing goes wrong. So it's good that you guys are doing that kind of work. Is there anything like of recently that you're currently working on that you're very excited about to share?
There are quite a few things, and maybe one thing is a robotic guide dog. We were developing robot dogs that can be used for guiding the blind, visually impaired people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can talk more if you want. So yeah, it's a big story. Like guide dog has been serving people for more than 100 years, and this whole industry is pretty mature. Like people do the breeding, people do the training for the guide dog, and overall it's like 2 years or 3 years experience. But this whole industry is reaching a sort of a bottleneck because training the guide dog is more and more expensive. And in many places it's about $50,000 dollars to train a dog. And in the New York State it's much more expensive, and it's about $150,000. So we're working with one of the leading organizations of the guide dog industry in the New York State, Guiding Eyes, and they can produce about 200 guide dogs every year. So they're already the largest of the New York State. And also the graduation rate of the guide dog is very low. So I sometimes just joking with my students, like the guide dog graduation rate is even lower than Binghamton University, right? So here I think we have I don't know, like a 70, 80, something like that, the 5-year graduation rate. But for guide dog, the graduation rate is lower than 50. So you spend all those effort, the money, and the human labor, but only less than half of the guide dog can graduate and really serve the people. So even if they really started to serve the people, many of them stop in the middle, like because of the healthcare reasons, or maybe the robot just doesn't, the dog just doesn't get along well with the family, or sometimes the dog is getting old, and on average, guide dog can only work for 6 or 7 years. Then they will retire. So this whole industry is becoming more and more difficult, and the pandemic was making it even more difficult because training the trainers of the guide dog is more difficult. It takes 5 or more years. So we are robotics researchers. We're just thinking if we can do anything. It turned out the robot dogs are walking very well, and sometimes running, and the hardware is also becoming pretty affordable. And we're just experimenting of using robot dogs to be an alternative of the biological guide dogs. And we did the human study, and we have the paper under review. Actually, we published a paper a couple of years ago, and this is still ongoing. I feel this is a very strong social good, and can potentially change the lives of the blind and visually impaired people.
I love that. That's an amazing vision to have, an amazing goal to have as well. I think it's what you're addressing about, how much money and like also time too to train the dogs. It's just a lot to invest in, and especially since the graduation rate is not like guaranteed. It's not 100%, right? So like most of the time that would be unfortunate for people that are actually in need of it, and like they depend on these dogs to like kind of function in their daily lives. So I like how you guys are addressing this, I guess, issue with like guide dogs and bringing robotics into it so that like people that are visually impaired, can move about their lives. And you guys are using Boston Dynamics as like their robotics to kind of use their robotic dogs to help guide them?
No, we are not really using Boston Dynamics robots. So actually, they are looking into a few specific type of applications, and we reach out to Boston Dynamics and about this idea, and I was asking whether we can have the robot or any discount or anything. It turned out it's not one of the areas they are focusing on. and we didn't proceed in that way. So currently we are using like more affordable versions. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I think Boston Dynamics focuses more on like military and like rescuing situations. Am I correct?
Most of the industry applications.
I see. So who are you guys using now for like robotics?
We are using Unitree robots, and also it's another robot manufacturer, and some deep robotics robots, and their platform are more friendly to universities, and many universities are using the robots, a lot more affordable.
Nice, yeah. I think it's good that you guys are finding something that's more compatible with what you guys are doing. Would you ever consider, I guess, like creating your own robots, or are you just programming it to do the function that you guys want to instead of like creating the whole hardware?
I'm personally very interested in that.
Yeah.
But I have to say we are computer scientists, right? We are mostly software people building the intelligence. Okay. So we collaborate with mechanical researchers, and for instance, we had a Segway-based robot, and then we mount a robot arm on top of it. So then now we have a mobile manipulator that can move around and grasp and ungrasp things all together. But I mean, we're not very good at hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, like you were saying, like most of the team's computer science, so it's more like software-focused stuff, and I can see that. But did you ever look into like, I guess, expanding the team and getting maybe some engineers to help you out with your projects, or maybe some people in other fields to just basically like diverse your guys' skill sets in like creating these robots?
We're already doing that. We collaborate with like people from nursing school, from mechanical, from electrical. So, for instance, my very first PhD student who came with a mechanical engineering background, and he did the PhD in computer science with me, very successful. He's right now a JP Morgan AI researcher, Saeed Emery. So I think the diverse and the interdisciplinary background is helping a lot of our research. But again, we are like CS people, and the intelligence part is more of our focus.
Got you. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Before you're talking more about, I guess, some of the ethics behind what you guys are doing, especially with like that like poisoning example, are there any other big ethical problems you guys or you have faced when it comes to doing research in AI and robotics?
So this whole AI robotics ethics thing is relatively new. So people didn't talk about it that much like 10 years, 20 years ago, but more and more, especially with generative AI, more and more popular. But as a robotics researcher, I think what I heard the most is probably whenever we demonstrate a new robot capability, and people are concerned, this is replacing some of the human jobs. Yeah. That's probably one of the main concerns I heard, and I have to explain that that's not our goal. So our goal is to replace the so-called the 3D, dirty, dangerous, and dull jobs.
Wait, can you like elaborate more on that? The three.
Yeah. So. Our goal is so there are jobs like people are doing, but people are not really enjoying, right? So some of the manufacturing jobs, right, assembly lines, and some of the jobs are very dangerous, like you go to a nuclear plant and fix leaking and other things. So that's sort of risky. So the dirty, dangerous, and dull jobs, the 3D, dirty, dangerous, and dull, I think those are the areas robotics can play a role, and get people freed from those positions and get trained and for something more innovative, right? So that's our goal. We're not replacing their jobs, but maybe they can get trained and be an operator of the robots.
I see.
right?
I see.
So like the autonomous driving, it's getting more and more popular, but now people can do more in the vehicles, right? So before people has to spend hours driving, and but nowadays you can read, right? You can learn, you can have some entertainment, you can talk to people, you can even have a meeting and have breakfast. You can do a lot of things when people using the time when people used to be spending on driving.
Yeah.
So get people out from the jobs and then get trained and move to the next level, doing something more innovative to improve people's quality of life. I think that's what robotics people are trying to do. But
that's good. Yeah. That is a good thing. I think there are some other areas or other people that are creating, I guess, AI that could replace other jobs that are not the 3Ds, which concerns like somebody like me, because I am a computer science major, and nowadays I hear just a bunch of like layoffs happening. So it kind of does scare me with like job security, but with you guys, it's like it's a different kind of, I guess, motive, that you're not taking away some of these more seeked out jobs, which is a good thing. But
so there are some jobs that are being taken, right? So if you look into the history, for instance, printer, right? So right now when we talk about printer, we just think about it as a machine, but like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, it's a kind of a job, and there are a lot of people actually working as a printer. Right, there's what else? Elevator operator, right? When I was young, when I was a little kid, I take an elevator. There was a person being there, just press a button and operate the elevator. Right now, it's completely just automatic, right? So there are jobs that are being replaced by machines, but people are moving on to other jobs. So there's a saying that AIs and robots are not taking jobs from everyone. AI and robotics are taking jobs from those who don't know AI.
Right? Yes, I've heard that one before. I've heard a similar saying where it's like AI is not going to be like replacing your jobs. It's more so the people that know how to use it and are able to use AI in their everyday lives that are going to be taking over the jobs of the people that don't know how to use AI, which I feel like should be a big calling for more people to learn how to use AI so that, they don't fall behind in terms of like where technology is going, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like with everybody you meet, are you encouraging more people to use AI and like learn more about it? Do you have any like advice for people that are a little overwhelmed when it comes to AI and like how it's just adapting and growing so fast?
Excuse me. 100% support people learning AI. So it's very much like how people are using calculators, how people are using computers, and when the calculators just came out, and there were people like very concerned. Do we still need to learn mathematics? Is that replacing all the education about math and physics and different things? It turned out people get along well with calculators. We still need to learn math and the calculation and calculus and everything. And it's just making our job easier and faster. So the same story as on AI. So it is not it's not a technology that is replacing computer science or a lot of the knowledge that we're learning, but it is giving us a new tool, so we can work on the important things more efficiently, right, and more easily. So I strongly encourage my students to use AI tools. I'm teaching our introduction to artificial intelligence this semester, and I don't stop my students from using the AI tools at all. But it should be in a controlled way. So that doesn't mean like you just, excuse me, it doesn't mean like we should let the student just completely rely on artificial intelligence to do the AI homework or other homeworks, but they should be understanding what's really happening, right? Yeah. If you ask AI to generate a quick sort, like search methods, you should understand how it works, but you just don't want to tap the 100 lines manually.
You don't want to be able to you don't want to rely on AI as like doing the work for you if you don't understand it. Otherwise, if you don't have it, you're kind of screwed, right? Same thing with a calculator. I see a lot of parallels when it comes to like AI and also some of those resources like calculators, because like, they don't want you to use a calculator if you don't know how to do simple addition or multiplication. They want you to use it, as a way to just do more of the important math that doesn't, require some of the more tedious tasks. So in that way, I see like AI is a very similar parallel to a calculator. Only use it to expedite processes and like the work that you're doing, so that it gets rid of the tedious tasks, so you could work on more like the important things. Right?
Yeah. It's no matter you like it or not, it's going to be a permanent life, a permanent component of our life, right? So it's happening. It's already happening right now. Like many people are using GPT as a search engine, and to explore the internet. It's already happening. So just be prepared. Like right now, every home has a TV set and a microwave and a fridge, and very soon maybe every home will have a robot. Every home will have a chat agent like a GPT embedded in it. It's happening anyways, and it's better to know how it works before it's too late.
Right. Yeah. Of course. I want to ask you: have you heard of a company or a startup called Cluely? Have you heard of Cluely and the story of like Roy Lee?
No.
No? Okay. So, I mean, I don't want to go into...
What is it for?
So basically Roy Lee, he's just been going viral a lot on like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. He's just a big, I guess a big name in like the AI startup field, where he got kicked out of Columbia because of like the tools he was creating. He created a tool. The first one was called Interview Coder, which was basically like a platform that you go onto that helps you basically like during the technical interviews of big software engineering jobs from like Google, Amazon. If you use that tool, it kind of is able to help you figure out all the code during that technical interview, so that you could just basically pass that part without needing to know anything, which is kind of crazy. So he kind of proved that his tool was able to work by doing it with the job interviews from Google and Amazon. He actually got into both jobs using the tool he created, but instead of just like sticking with the job, he posted it on social media and it went viral. And then Amazon threatened like Columbia that they would blacklist all their students if they didn't kick him out. So then Columbia kicked him out of their school, which is a crazy story. And now he's on to his next chapter called Cluely, which is basically just that, but he generalized it and is basically a platform where people can go on there and cheat on anything he basically says. So like, I don't know if you heard about it, but it's just a crazy story. How do you feel about people that are doing stuff like that?
I don't know. It's even for homeworks, right? Many of the CS homeworks, you just give the problem statement. Student can just use AI to fill the programming assignment. I think the interviewers and the professors need to be more innovative. We can't use the homework from 10 years ago or the interview questions 10 years ago to evaluate whether this guy should go to Google, Facebook, or somewhere. It's just giving us a pressure to be more innovative. It's the technology is there. We shouldn't stop people from using what you call it, clueless, right?
Yeah, Cluely, yeah.
Cluely. We can't stop people from using that. It's happening anyways. Actually, if it's well used, it can be pretty efficient, productive for work. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think nowadays it's like people that know how to be resourceful and like use whatever tools that they have is the most important part. One last question before we go into our next segment. How do you feel about going into like a startup field or like bringing your work into something more of like a business rather than research?
I'm personally interested in that. So it's but it requires a lot of time and passion, and you want to spend like 200% of your time into the work to really get something, theoretically work to something like practically work and really serve the end users. I don't think that's something that's happening soon in my lab or on me, but I do have some students doing that right now. So I just heard that one of my recently graduated PhD student who is starting a company that already raised some good money.
Okay,
that's exciting, and I do think that's kind of a the commercialization or the translational work is very important. So if the technology is sitting in the lab for nothing, then it's nothing. So it should go to the market and really serve people. But that requires a lot of effort and time.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
And it's very risky too, just like starting up a business in that field. But something to think about in the future. But going into our next segment, I think I briefly explained this to you on email, the robot or human section. So I like to come up with a fun section for every single guest I interview, maybe a little bit related to the topics that they're most interested in. So for this segment, it's robot or human. So I'm gonna go through a list of scenarios, and then you tell me if a robot or human is better at the task, and explain your thought process with it. So the first one is reading and understanding emotions. Do you feel like a robot or human would be better at doing that?
Reading or understanding emotion?
Yes.
Emotion or motion?
Emotions, human emotions.
Oh, I think on average, probably AI can do better.
AI, really?
Yeah, I think.
So you're saying an AI model can detect emotions better than somebody that's a therapist?
I think people's capability of detecting emotion is declining. It's decreasing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
People are more and more digitalized.
Right. Yeah.
Spending a lot of time on the internet instead of really paying attention to people. I think people's capability is declining, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's kind of sad to hear. I hope people that are losing that can kind of recover some of that emotional awareness. And it's something that I try to focus on in some of my life. But going on to the next one, telling a joke that makes somebody laugh.
I think it's probably people doing better.
People doing better.
AI is sometimes giving good jokes, but I don't know it's intentional or not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I would have to agree with you on that one. I think overall, just the comedian space is just better with humans, and AI just doesn't feel that natural when it comes to jokes. How about performing a very complex surgery, for example, doing surgery on, I guess, an arm?
Of course, human surgeons are doing much better than robots. But remember that we're people. So some of the big surgery requires 10 hours operation, for instance. Yeah. Then people get tired, but robots do not. So there are scenarios where robots can do better, or AIs in general can do better. But overall, I feel people are still doing much better.
Okay, so people better for surgeries. Yeah. But that might change very soon. It could change very soon.
Yeah, I don't know, but that may change.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about, let's say you're driving through New York City and you want to go to a pretty far destination. Do you think humans are better at finding the best route in terms of what's the fastest route to get to that destination, or do you think AI would be better at that?
Oh, AI can do way much better.
Okay.
Yeah, this kind of optimization is exactly what AI is good at, because we have very good quality maps, and the AI can get the state the updated data about the traffic and everything. People are having difficulties processing all of this information.
Wow. Okay. I feel like AI sometimes gets it wrong though. Sometimes, okay. Yeah, I guess Google Maps and I guess Waze is the way to go when it comes to navigating the best route.
Yeah.
How about deciding if a piece of art is pretty or beautiful?
I think I think people are doing better. Yeah. Something not very good happening is that people are using human created art to train AI without really giving credits to the people. That's something very bad.
Yeah.
Then they can generate drawings or writings or something that's very much like the style of some specific people.
Oh, wow.
Without paying or even giving credits or even mentioning their names. Yeah, that's very bad.
I feel like that's a very highly unethical like way to go about things. Not credit. What is it? Not giving credit to the artists that are creating these works. So it's like kind of like they're training these models to be like that person and kind of replace them in their field, which is really sad.
Yeah, and once it's trained, the AIs can just very quickly generate many the stuff, and the person sometimes is his or her real what is that, the drawings are believed generated by AI, so which is unfortunate.
Yeah, super unfortunate. I hope that we're able to, I guess, fix more of those issues, and something like that gets addressed. How about picking the best gift for your parents?
I think I can do much better. Yeah. So the challenge is, I can follow up a bit on it. So the AIs are taking a lot of big data, but AIs are not doing well on small data. So I can maybe just by a few conversations, or maybe just by observing something, to know very well what my parents like.
Yeah.
Or maybe because of something happened 10 years ago, I can infer that that's probably what they like.
I see.
But AI doesn't have a lot of data about myself. And AI, even if the AI has the data, AI will just merge my data into the big data set and train all together. Then my data is just overwhelmed and for nothing. So I think I can do much better on that.
That's
and
good.
Small data is not making good use of right now.
You don't think even if you give like conversations that you have with like your mom or dad and then give that to the AI model, you don't think they would do a good job finding a good present for them?
If they really want to spend the money to train the AI again, maybe.
Okay.
But nobody will do that.
Right. Yeah, it's a very specific case scenario. Yeah. How about coming up with like a brilliant idea for like a business or a project idea? Do you think humans do better at that or robots?
This is hard to tell because it's happening right now. Right? There's a agentic AI happening. Like many people are using the generative AI to build a company for like customer service or booking flight tickets or maybe human resources, training, that kind of tasks. It's happening right now. It's still unclear which one is doing better. I think in the short term, it's still the human side.
Okay. That's good. That's good for now. Hopefully it stays that way. But that is the end of the segment. I hope you enjoyed that segment.
Sure. Very interesting.
I had fun asking those questions. But going into our last segment, this is the bonus round, or kind of like lightning round, where I just go over like some of the questions I missed earlier. So it's basically a little faster paced. And I'm just going to ask you my last couple questions, and then I'll let you, provide any input on like the last couple words that you want to say later on. So to start off the bonus round or lightning round segment, what is the difference between this doesn't really have to deal with like AI, but just like generally as your personality, you're like somebody like yourself, what is the difference between motivation and discipline for you?
I want to do something that's good for my surrounding people. To put it big, that more like people who love me and who love the world. I want to do something good for them. And
I like that.
If I still have some time, I want to do something that maybe remembered in 50 years, something like that.
Yeah, like to leave a legacy and have people remember your name for like what you did.
It's more like a legacy thing. But I think that's what I'm interested in and how I decide what to do. Of course, to do that kind of thing, sometimes you need to gather the resources. And we still have to get funding to support the research and the lab and everything. That's not really something I'm very much interested but to get my goal, I think I need to get step by step there.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, like doing something for other people and like making a difference so that their lives are touched by the work that you do. I think that's an amazing thing. This is another very hypothetical scenario, not really dealing with like AI specifically, but so right now you're a researcher. If you can't do your current job, let's say you're kicked out of like the research field, you're kicked out of AI and robotics, what would be your backup like career that you would be doing, backup job?
I I'll build robots. I'll start a company and build hundreds, thousands, or millions of robots to really bring the technology to the community. I think that's robotics is highly It's highly applied. So it's not like physics or something. You come up with of mathematics. You come up with a model. You prove something. That's the end. But for robotics, you can come up with a very good technology or algorithm or something. But if it's just staying in the lab, it means nothing. Mm-hmm. So I think you asked the question about a startup company or something.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. That's very important. But developing the technology and the intelligence and really bringing it to the real life to people, I think both of them are very important. And if I cannot do one, I think I will probably do the other.
Yeah. Maybe in the future, right? You never know what happens. And I would say something that's important that I like to emphasize with like some of my audience. A lot of people that listen to the podcast, or more so like students, people looking to get more serious in their careers, like people that are just earlier on in their careers. Do you have any advice for people that are looking to get into like tech, or just, I guess, for their future? Like, do you have any advice for students that are a little bit scared about, getting a job, like going into adulthood? What kind of advice would you have for people like that?
Yeah. This whole new wave of artificial intelligence is bringing a lot of anxiety to the current students. I think the best way to compete with AI on programming and everything is to know it. So just learn what AI is about, and know its strengths and weaknesses, and how to use it under control, and how AI is moving towards in the next 5 or 10 years, so you can better be prepared. It's not like you wait until GPT-5 or 6 is coming out and then you learn it, but maybe learn what's happening right now so that whatever coming up, you're prepared. Yeah. You're the first to use it, or maybe you're even one of the developers. Then, the entry-level software programmer positions are declining, but the developers of AI, the positions are actually increasing, and they're paid very well. So I think this when some opportunities are going away, there are new opportunities coming in. So it's again like the printer, right, job. So many years ago, when people printed, machines are replacing our jobs, but it turned out there are more and more advanced machines and printers or whatever. So they got new position, and still, So I think get the training and the education, you can be prepared for whatever the technology evolving towards.
That's a great piece of advice. It's something that I'm gonna have to share more with like some of my friends, some more of like the people that I'm talking to. Just like know more about AI. Just like put yourself in those positions where you're able to learn more about it, so that in the future, when it's a little too late, you have a step up compared to people that didn't learn about it. But yeah, I think that basically concludes today's episode. Is there anything else that you want to share with like the audience that we didn't really get to talk about today?
It's fantastic experience. Like I said, I don't do this a lot, and it's a very new and good experience. I hope. It's overall AI and robotics. It's a very exciting, and it's a overall, computer science is already very exciting, and AI and robotics is one of the computer science topics that is changing very quickly. And you can see that the robots are walking and running and doing things very differently from like 5 years ago. I think it's a good and exciting time to start looking into it if you or anyone haven't.
Yeah, that's great. I'm very glad to have you on the podcast. This was a good experience for me, just learning a little bit more about what you do, but also just some of the advice for like people in tech, but also just people in general. It was really good to hear everything you had to say today. Where can people find some of your work and, just like find you online?
Just Google my name and you can find me. And I have a personal page. I have my group page. We list all our papers and recent research topics there. And also feel free to let me know if at Binghamton, just knock on my door or email me. Yeah, we can schedule time to chat.
Yeah, I love that. I will link all your pages, all your work in the description. So, everybody can find your work. But I really do appreciate you hopping on the podcast. That does conclude today's episode. Thank you so much for hopping on. And until next time, this is it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.